The Arizona Cardinals are one of 12 teams to never win a Super Bowl in franchise history. The last time the Cardinals made a Super Bowl appearance was back in 2008, where Kurt Warner was the starting quarterback, but they ended up falling short to Big Ben and the Steelers. Since then, the Cardinals only won 2 playoff games and missed the playoffs 10 times. But in today's video, we're going to be adding one NFL superstar to the Arizona Cardinals until they win their first ever Super Bowl. Joshua Dobbs will be the starting quarterback to start the season as Kyler Murray remains sidelined with a partial ACL tear. The best player on the Arizona roster is on defense in Budda Baker. He still has 2 years left on his contract, and I just hope he still remains a Cardinal when we win a Super Bowl. And the season went exactly as I expected, finishing dead last in the NFL with just 3 wins, and both the offense and defense were 32nd in the NFL. The Eagles went on to win the Super Bowl over the Buffalo Bills, and Patrick Mahomes is your NFL MVP. After every season, we will be spinning this wheel of NFL teams, and we can take one NFL superstar off their roster. Spinning the wheel, and our first team that it lands on is going to be the Dallas Cowboys, and this one's going to be a very tough choice to make. The Cowboys have plenty of superstars on their roster like Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Trayvon Diggs, and CeeDee Lamb. But after seeing what Micah was able to do against opposing offenses, he will be joining the Arizona Cardinals defense, who can use all the help that they can get. He will slot in at right end, and I truly believe he can help this team become one of the best defenses in the NFL. The Cardinals front office was busy this offseason, trading the #1 overall pick and acquiring plenty of young talent in the draft like Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State, Kalen King, Raheem Standers, and Barrett Carter. These rookies should make an immediate impact on our very weak roster, led by Kyler Murray on offense and our new team captain Micah Parsons on defense. After simming season number 2, the team did improve slightly, but still missing out on a playoff spot. Finishing 29th in the NFL, but our defense stepped up thanks to Micah Parsons and finished 18th in the NFL. Kyler Murray had a decent season, throwing for 3,600 yards, 31 touchdowns, and just 12 interceptions. Rookie Marvin Harrison Jr. had an amazing rookie year with 1,000 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns, which was good enough to be in the Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation. The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and Joe Burrow is your NFL MVP, with Aaron Donald just beating out Micah Parsons for Defensive Player of the Year. To make this a little bit more difficult, we'll be alternating between one defensive and one offensive superstar from the wheel spin. Spinning the wheel once again, and this time it's landing on the Cleveland Browns. The 2 offensive choices we have from the Browns are going to be Nick Chubb or David Njoku. It seems like they lost a lot of their offensive linemen in free agency. After a rookie running back struggled last season, let's bring in Nick Chubb as running back #1. I think this backfield duo can cause havoc this year for a lot of defenses. The offense heading into season 3 is looking a lot better with Nick Chubb as our starting running back, and Marvin Harrison Jr. really took a step forward, going up to an 86 overall. Unfortunately, Kyler Murray hasn't improved much. As for the defense, Micah and Budda Baker are still elite, but surprisingly enough, second year Barrett Carter is up to an 83 overall with superstar potential. Nick Chubb was looking great in his first start in a Cardinals uniform, scoring multiple touchdowns against the Commanders, and they were able to start the season off with a big win. The rest of the season went pretty well as the Cardinals finished with a 10-7 record, tied for first place in the NFC West, but more importantly, secured a playoff spot. The offense improved dramatically this season, finishing 5th in offensive yards, and the defense also improved. Kyler Murray had a decent season once again, but he only threw 17 touchdowns. And as you can see, Nick Chubb was a massive help, finishing with 1,239 yards and 14 touchdowns, but Raheem Standers also had a great season with 11 touchdowns. I'm telling you right now, this backfield might be top tier. The defense improved, and a big thanks to Micah Parsons and Barrett Carter. Unfortunately, the Cardinals season came to an end, losing 28-26, but Kyler Murray surprisingly played really well, but he just couldn't get it done. The Steelers ended up being the Panthers in the Super Bowl, and Joe Burrow once again won NFL MVP. After adding Micah Parsons and Nick Chubb, the wheel spin lands on the Las Vegas Raiders heading into season 4. And since we have to pick a defensive player now, the only real option was Max Crosby, and he will slot in at left outside linebacker next to Barrett Carter. The Arizona front office ended up drafting a bust in the first round, but was able to grab a few decent rookies later on in the draft. Not much has changed on the offensive side of the ball, other than Marvin Harrison Jr. just moving to wide receiver #1 and Paris Johnson Jr. up to an 84 overall. But the defense got a whole lot better with Max Crosby at linebacker and Micah Parsons coming off the edge. And through the first 7 games, the Cardinals seem to be struggling with a 3-4 record. And to make things worse, Kyler Murray is playing awful. He has thrown more interceptions than he has touchdowns. From week 11, the Cardinals started winning a lot of games and snuck into a wildcard game against the #2 seed Commanders. And as expected, Kyler Murray didn't have the best season, but the running back duo really complemented each other. With the addition of Crosby this offseason, Micah Parsons had 20 sacks, finishing 3rd in the NFL. Although Kyler and the Cardinals struggled against the Commanders in the first half, he was able to connect with Trey McBride to tie the game. 4th and inches for the Commanders, and they converted. A few plays later, Caleb Williams finds Scary Terry in the end zone to tie it up. The defense could not stop the Commanders' offense, and they ended up kicking a field goal with no time left on the clock to win the game. And for the 2nd straight season, Kyler Murray and the Cardinals failed to win a playoff game, and I almost feel like it's time to move on from Kyler. The Bengals finally win their first Super Bowl ever against the Giants, and Patrick Mahomes wins NFL MVP. We now need to pick an offensive player from the Philadelphia Eagles, and they have plenty of offensive weapons on their roster. Jalen Hurts is a 99 overall, Devonta Smith is a 94, AJ Brown a 91, and Jordan Mailata at a 90 overall. But since Kyler has not played well, let's bring in Jalen Hurts. The rest of the offense is a little bit shaky, but luckily, Marvin Harrison's up to an 89 overall, and our backfield is still looking good, even though Nick Chubb is down to an 87 overall. The defense remains the same, but I hope they play lights out again this season. And with Hurts as our play caller, the Cardinals ended up finishing 11-6 and have a first-round bye heading into the playoffs somehow. Hurts played really well, finishing with 3,741 passing yards, 34 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. Although Nick Chubb finished with 1,000 yards, he had 19 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison Jr. continues to dominate with 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, while the defense played insane. Micah Parsons had a career year with 24 sacks, which was good enough to be the first in the NFL, but Crosby and Collins also combined for 22 sacks. And even with having a bye in the first round, the Cardinals fall to the 9-8 Green Bay Packers 31-21. Jalen Hurts had a solid game, but the defense could not come up big, and season 5 is over. After that disappointing loss in the divisional round, the Green Bay Packers went on to win the Super Bowl, with Lamar Jackson winning NFL MVP. However, Micah Parsons won Defensive Player of the Year. The Cardinals have added Parsons, Chubb, Max Crosby, and Jalen Hurts so far, but as you can see, Nick Chubb has regressed quite a bit at 32 years of age, and he will no longer be running back number 1. And before we jump into season number 6, next wheel spin lands on the Atlanta Falcons, and we could take a defensive player from their roster. 2 really good defensive players in AJ Terrell or Jesse Bates, but as you can see, Jesse Bates is down to a star potential, so let's go and bring in AJ Terrell to help our secondary. And it's improved quite a bit with AJ Terrell and Budda Baker holding down the secondary, while Parsons, Crosby, and Carter are also elite talents. The offense remains intact with Jalen Hurts still at a 99 overall and Paris Johnson Jr. now up to an 87 overall, which should help quite a bit. And it really did. The Cardinals finished with a 14-3 record, which was good enough for 2nd in the NFL, right behind the Chiefs, but they still have a first-round bye heading into the playoffs. Jalen Hurts had a much better season in his 2nd year with 4,000 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. He also added 671 rushing yards, while Raheem Sanders had 1,300 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. But Nick Chubb still managed to chip in with 10 touchdowns this season. Marvin Harrison was clearly Hurts' favorite target with 1,400 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns. And for the 2nd straight season, Micah finished 1st in the NFL with 20.5 sacks. Jalen Hurts and the Cardinals were easily able to exact their revenge on the Packers in the divisional game, where he threw 6 touchdowns. And they kept that rolling in the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks, where Jalen Hurts finds Hollywood Brown in the end zone with just seconds left, and they are now moving on to the Super Bowl. Hurts ended up finishing 3rd in MVP voting, but Micah Parsons once again won Defensive Player of the Year. We now take on MVP winner Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Let's see if Hurts and the rest of this Cardinals team can get the job done. And the Cardinals start the Super Bowl with some elite passing. They ended up moving down the field and scored on the opening drive to take an early 7-0 lead. Micah Parsons came up big on Mahomes' first possession with a big sack, and Jalen Hurts finds a streaking Marvin Harrison Jr. for a beautiful touchdown to take a 14-point lead. And the game kept on going back and forth, and Pacheco was able to score his 2nd touchdown of the game. Hurts was then able to find Hollywood Brown in the end zone to regain the 14-point lead, and as both teams kept trading touchdowns, the score was 42-28 with just 5 minutes to go. They end up scoring thanks to Rashee Rice, and the lead was now cut down to 7. Jalen Hurts just needs to convert on the 3rd down to win the game, and they do just that, finding Rondale Moore for the 1st down. And the Arizona Cardinals win their first ever Super Bowl in franchise history after adding 5 superstars to their roster. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely go check out how long it would take a team of rookies to win the Super Bowl right over here.